If you would please remain standing for the reading of our gospel lesson. It comes from Luke chapter 10. I'm reading verses 38 through 42. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to everything he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made, and she came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you're worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Thank you. You may be seated. A bit of poor planning on my part and that of all of our... You can come on this way. Come on this way. Today is Salkehatchie Sunday, and we neglected to put that in the bulletin, and I apologize. We didn't mean to diss our Salkehatchie friends, but I was going to recognize Val. I don't know if Val or Jeb is speaking first, but one of these two guys behind me is going to make you forget about the heat.
Yes, because this heat is a cool way to us after coming back from Winsboro. We just came back 2 Sundays ago. This congregation commissioned 36 adults and young people to go out on your behalf and to be Christ's hands and feet to the people of Fairfield County. Of those 36 that we took, 9 of them were first-timers, which was awesome. I've come to find out that there's 2 types of Salkehatchie campers. A camper who comes one time and says, no more. The second Salkehatchie camper comes and is in it for life. Most people are that way. The people of Fairfield County, we had 11 sites. We had 133 campers. I don't know if this is true, and if there's a doctor in the congregation who can tell me. I believe my sweated. It was hot, but God was with us. I'm going to give you a little background. If you don't, I'm going to ask for your hands. How many of you know what Salkehatchie Summer Service is? If you know, raise your hand. Okay, some of you don't. Salkehatchie Summer Service started 41 years ago in 1978 by the Reverend John Culp. John Culp was a chaplain for a volunteer fire department in, I don't remember the county, but it was near the Salkehatchie River. And he answered a call to a house fire that involved 3 small children who tragically perished in that house fire. And Reverend John Culp decided that never again, as long as he can be part of that, to try and keep that from happening. So 41 years ago, it started with 1 camp, and I believe it was 35 campers. It is now 45 camps across the state of South Carolina, from almost the week after school gets out to the week before school starts. And hundreds and hundreds of homes are made safer, warmer, and drier, and I like to add cooler, because who wants to make it warmer in July? Not so much me. I want to make it cooler for the house too. So Jeb is going to give you, talk about his experience, and then I'm going to come back up in a minute after he finishes and tell you about the theme and about the meaning of our cross.
Good morning, everyone. You have to forgive me before I speak, because this is kind of, Val was like, "You want to speak about Salkehatchie?" I was like, "Sure," and this was maybe an hour ago. So I kind of had to write a little bit of notes down on one of the offertory slips, so I hope this is okay enough. But like they said, my name is Jeb Grant. I'm 15. This will be my 2nd year at Salkehatchie. I went last year too. But like as Pastor mentioned, there was going to be young people come up here and speak, which I guess I'm young enough, but everybody else is most likely at home getting some sleep right now. I came back and I slept all day yesterday and woke up about 8 o'clock this morning to go to church, but I was asleep all day. Salkehatchie is kind of a different experience than what you would expect. I told people that were coming, they were like, yes, let's go and work, and we're going to build houses and have fun, which is kind of how it is, but you don't get the full Salkehatchie experience until you're there amongst everybody else. I mean, everybody there, we had more last year than we had this year, but even so, all the people that were there, you kind of become close. Because, I mean, if you're in a small high school building all week and everybody's kind of sweaty and nasty and tired, you can't really hide, like, any emotion. So everybody comes really close, especially the guys in our room. We had 8 guys. We're like brothers, the same guys as last year. We become like brothers. But first off, you get there and we unload all the drinks and get set up. And everybody's kind of excited for the next day, and then everybody finds out that we have to get up at 5:30, or try to get up at 5:30 to go work. Of course, I probably didn't wake up until about 7:30 when everybody was leaving, so it was kind of a jump into your clothes and run kind of thing. But the meaning, or the kind of the focus of this year was, why me? The question, why me? That's what what everybody was talking about, the meaning for the week. And I think it was Monday, or the day or two after we got there, once again, Val asked me if I wanted to speak about my why me story. And of course, I don't know if I kind of killed the mood, but I talked about my father passing away 2 weeks ago as a why me story. Because you don't really understand you kind of have to ask yourself, why this happened to me? And that's me doing that opened the door for a lot of other people that came up and spoke. But being there with all the people and all the emotions, it helped definitely me, and I think a lot of other people kind of come to copes with different things that's going on. It helps you because you have a group of people, everybody there, all the leaders, all the pastors, all the kids, they love you and they're there for you. So it's just a great experience. And I mean, one of the funny things that I thought about was when you go there, you expect it to be hot. You're like, I'm going to work, I might lose a little bit of weight, get a little bit of muscle. But every day when you get back for lunch, they have some kind of homemade meal that another church brought. And they call it the Salkehatchie belly, which I'm not sure if I got one because I've always kind of had a belly. But no, you definitely don't lose weight. If anything else, you gain weight from all the good food they have. I know I would kind of sneak into the kitchen and grab a couple homemade brownies before I went to bed every night, so that's probably why it didn't change much for me. But through it all, you never really understand what Salkehatchie's about until you're kind of in Salkehatchie, and it's a great experience. I know everybody's going to say it's amazing, but there is ups and downs, but through all of it, you kind of realize that it brings you together, brings you closer to God, definitely, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment when you're able to go there, see a house before you work on it, and see what it's done after. And I actually got the chance to work on 2 different houses because I was on site 1 with Hank and Bob as our site leaders, and we worked on a small house, and we had to replace some wire and stuff like that. And towards the end of the week, site 3 with Frank, which was kind of the leader of Salkehatchie, mentioned that he needed some help on that site. And of course, me being big, I was like, sure, let me go help. So I got there, and I didn't expect it because the entire week I was working with site 1, I didn't realize how hot it was. So I get to site 3, and there's no shade at all, completely in the sun. And we have to build a deck, a huge deck. It's probably 30 by 25 feet, huge deck. And I come to realize the heat index was about 109 both days I was there, which was Thursday and Friday. So me and the other guys up under all that heat were building the deck, and you realize how much people are sacrificing their body and their time and their sleep to come and work, but at the end of the day, it's all worth it. So I definitely recommend Salkehatchie to anybody. And I mean, even if you don't enjoy it, Even if you don't know it, it helps you in the end. Thank you.
So as Jeb mentioned, the theme of Fairfield Salkehatchie this year was why me? We tried to turn that around and say, why not me? Because God will give you those why me moments. But you have to find the God in those moments and turn it around and say, why not me? So there is an age limit for Salkehatchie. It's 14 years. You're old is how old you have to be. There is no age limit farther up. So if you ever want to attend a Salkehatchie, please do. One of the things I was asked to do, 2 years ago I was on a site, I was not a site leader. This year I was a site leader, and when we get there, we have safety instructions on a framing gun, on circular saws, on all this, a sawzall. They call it a sawzall because it saws all. If you're cutting board and it goes too far, you might be cutting a gas line or a power line or a water line, so you have to be very careful. So, and then one of the other very important instructions is heat problems, the heat illnesses you can get. But they do mention one that most people don't know about. It's called heat frustration. There is no cure for that. That is normally for site leaders or camp directors. Am I right, Joe? There is no cure for that other than let the site leader go hide somewhere for a few minutes, drink 9 bottles of water, and pray or count to 1,000,000. That way they come back and the heat frustration has been dissipated. But 2 years ago on a site, I was not a site leader, and one of the adult females, usually it's just a wooden cross, but one of the adult females put together a cross for her site, for our site, with a hammer on it. It's a little tiny hammer. And there was somebody asked me one day after that year, I love your cross, what does that hammer mean on there? So when I told her what I told them, she kind of did like I did to Jeb this morning, and an hour before devotion said, hey, can you talk about that? So I decided, okay, I can do that. So for me, the hammer on this cross means Jesus came to this earth as a man, fully human, fully divine. He worked with his hands. He was a carpenter. So he had to do what we have to do to survive. He had to work. He had to work for his family. He had to work to survive in life. The second thing that this hammer reminds me of is what we just did last week, is that we picked up hammers, 14-year-olds to, I'm not going to say the highest number because I don't know what the highest number was, but it was close to 70, is that we are the hands and feet of Christ. We picked up hammers to physically be the hands and feet of Christ, to repair homes, to build a relationship with each other, but more importantly, to build a relationship with a new family. Each of our families have names. My family's last name was the Miltons. And most of the sites know what their family's name were too. While repairing the homes is important, building that relationship with that family is the more important part of that. So the third thing that the hammer means to me is that it depicts, for me, more so than the crucifix, because Christ is not on that cross. He's off that cross. He's alive. What that hammer means to me is that I nailed him there. We all nailed him there. We held the nails and somebody else held the hammer. One of the pictures that I love, somebody showed me after I talked about this, was a picture that Rembrandt did, and he painted himself into that portrait of the crucifixion with him nailing the nails in. So when you come to your why me moment, stop and think. We all go through trials. We talked about some of them during devotions. In fact, Friday night, it was a very emotional night because one of our campers had just heard that her uncle had tragically passed away after having a surgery. And this camp just surrounded this young lady and prayed for her and sent her home with a better feeling. Yes, sad, yes, grief, and we all have that. Jeb was there 1 week after his dad passed away. But what better place to be than with a family who surrounds you with love and surround you with prayer and with forgiveness and mercy and grace. So when you have your why me moment, stop and ask, why not me? Because God will give you things, but what happens then, if you get through that, you persevere through that, that builds character, and that character brings hope. And that's, to me, what Salkehatchie brings, is hope and love. Most sites, if they get finished, sometimes a couple of mine I couldn't get to it, but we put a cross on that home that says Salkehatchie, and we all sign it. And it's all different kinds of different crosses or depictions. But that's a lasting memory for that family. And the homeowner that we had at the Miltons, she said, I want it placed over my steps so whoever walks on my porch is blessed. Every time they walk on my porch, they're blessed, because y'all have been such a blessing to me. And I can probably say that all other 10 sites were probably pretty much the same, that they're so grateful that we would come and do this. Yes, it was hot, and it was miserable at times, but persevere, it built our character, and it brought hope to families. So we thank you as your Salkehatchie team for going to Fairfield, for supporting us in prayer and supporting the youth ministry in itself. We thank you for that, and we look forward to next year. And if anybody would like to go, just contact me, and we'll see what we can get you in with us next year. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Val. I owe Val an apology, public apology, because my mistake was public. 2 Sundays ago, when we were doing our sending forth, I believe it was in the first service, wasn't it? I invited all the young people and Val to come up to the front for our sending forth. And I didn't even realize what I had said until he called it to my attention several times. And so I think I probably owe him an apology. So I apologize to all the young people and Val. I want to just ask, I know that we've had some in both services, but if you were a part of the Salkehatchie team this year, would you please stand wherever you are? Just please stand. We have several here, several in the back that you might not be able to see. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. You may be seated. We're especially proud of you and proud for you. We're proud of the commitment that you've made to Salkehatchie, but we're proud that you've had the opportunity for such an experience. We know what that experience is all about, and we're so glad that you've had that opportunity. It's a little bit hot in here, so I would invite you to get your hymnal and turn to our closing hymn. It's number 399, and let's stand as we sing together, Take My Life and Let It Be. Let's stand as we sing together.